Hey guys, welcome to the fifth part of the course where we are going to apply colors and material in KeyShot. Here we have the model we created in Cinema 4D and that we imported. I explained to you that we can modify anything we want to regarding geometry in Cinema 4D and then update it in KeyShot. So now we're ready to start using KeyShot. KeyShot has a very intuitive interface so that it allows us to get good results in a short period of time as opposed to other softwares. On the left, we can find different panels where options like material and colors are displayed. We can also find in here other options like environment, connected to lighting effects, then black plates, textures, and favorites. And in the panel on the right, we have other parameters such as the scene itself, where we can find our Frida and her different elements. Also, the material panel, which is very important. You'll notice that these are all the materials we already had. You can also find the environment panel, where we can choose the background color, rotate the background, add reflections to the ground, see? There is also a lighting panel where we can select the quality of the lighting, and also a camera panel where we can select, for example, our perspective view or our orthographic one. Do you see the difference between them? Okay. And finally, we have an image panel, which is merely to choose the format of the image. But for now, we are going to leave it like this and don't change anything. And leave it deactivate since we are going to work with this in Photoshop. Okay? Let's go now to the material panel and add matte material, completely matte, over the materials we already added so that you can see how easy it is to work with all the elements separated by colors. So, here, as you can see, we have different materials, paint or plastic. Inside plastic, we have all these types of plastics with different specular effects. In this case, as we are not interested in specular effect materials, we are going to use matte materials. So now let's go to the color palette and note down the RGB codes of each color to apply them easily. For example, let's do the skin. First, we are going to select any material, but obviously we want it to be matte. So we're going to select, like, don't know. Okay, this one. And now we can apply it to the correct area. So if we hold it over the area we want to paint, you'll notice that the entire area is painted. Also, the new material appears here in the panel. Double click on it and in this option we can tweak the color itself. Okay, the material we used in Photoshop has the following values: 255, 154, and 119. What happens? That the skin is now in the same color that we had in Photoshop. Click on OK. If we have a look at here, we'll see that actually this color is composed of two different tones. If we change this material and use the same color, the result will be even more similar. So insert the same values again and then press OK. OK. Go back again to Photoshop and check the code for this color. This one. Okay, it is 225, 93, and 106. Then come back to KeyShot and apply a material with these codes. So choose any of these materials, which are matte. Drag and drop and then double click here. Now insert the code. That's it. 225, 93, 106. And okay, now we are going to do the same with the color below. If we change the tone, the color will also change slightly, but we are going to keep the same color so that these are the more similar possible. 93 and 106. Perfect. Do the same with the purple. Note down the code RGB and paint the shirt with this color. Again, choose any material, double click and insert the code. 84, 62 and 98. Okay? Perfect. Guys, we need to follow these steps with all the elements of the model. In case there are some elements to which you want to add a different color and don't know how to do it, you can do the following. As in our color palette there is in black, we're going to select the purple one and darken it. For example, this tone. Then note down the code. As always, add any material, double click, and in this case we are going to write 26, 24 and 27. Okay. How is it going, guys? Easy? Well, I think so. So just repeat the same for each element that composes our Frida. Let's do now the jacket. Go to Photoshop and select this green, which is darker than the other one. Now select a material, drag and drop, and double click to insert the values. For the jacket, we'll need to write 0, 196, and 111. Okay. And now the skirt. Let's use this one. Add a material, double click and insert the code. 94, 159 and 153. Okay. So guys, let's use the left colors. We're going to use this green over here, perfect. And we are going to apply it for the skirt, for example. So add the material, perfect. And then change the values or insert the values. So 166, 242 and 153. That's it. And finally, the yellow tones, the both of them that we are going to use for the missing elements, like this. Okay, let's change it. 253, 194 and 60. Okay. So to finish with, we have the lighter yellow, this one here, this one, and we are going to use it for the necklace. So drag and drop and change the values. 255, 214 and 112. As you might have noticed, there are still some missing parts that need to be colored. So in this case, we are going to use, for example, the pink one for these objects and one of the yellow tones for the triangles. This way, our Frida will be fully colored using the color palette we created in Photoshop. At this point, we could also play around with the materials we just created and change the color or select another tone if we want to. That's up to you. Also, this KeyShot file is quite useful for creating other characters and models using these materials. Okay, let's apply now the lighting. You know that if we go to the material settings, we can change different parameters like the roughness, which determines if an image is more matte or less. So the more I increase the roughness, the less is the brightness of the material. And on the contrary, if we reduce considerably the roughness, we get a really bright material. In fact, this brightness resembles to the lighting or reflections. This is the value that every material has by default. If we want it to be more matte, we need to increase it. Okay, so in this case, we could set it at 0.500 or 0.5 so that the result is completely matte. So guys, just change one by one and set roughness to 0.5 to get the same effect for all of them. So once all the materials have a value of 0.5 in roughness, we'll notice that the tones of our model are totally matte. The next step will be creating the background. In this case, we need to go to the environment to change the color from there. We can choose any tone we want, or we can also go to the color palette and with the eyedropper select, copy the color we prefer. I'm going to pick the yellow, but I'm going to make it lighter in the color picker window. Then press OK. And don't forget to note down the code. So this is the tone we are going to use for the background. 255, 232, and 175. Then OK. As you can see, the background is now yellow. Well, kind of. Another thing we have to work with is the lighting. In the environment we have now, lights are a bit unfocused. Therefore, we are going to change them since we are looking for a uniform effect. To do so, we go to Environment and select these two panels we find here at the top. What happens automatically? We have two beams of light, one coming from the right and another from the left. We can also activate the lighting environment option for the background, and from here we can rotate the environment and also make it smaller or bigger to check that it's in the correct position. So we are going to do it this way. Okay. Let's keep rotating until it's in a central position. Now we can see that light comes from both sides. So let's zoom in. Okay. Check the color box and in brightness, increase the value. We'll need to wait until the image is generated. Once the image is generated, we might find that the tone of the shadow is too dark. If this happens, we can change this by going to the Environment panel on the right and in Ground Shadows opt for a grayer tone, so that it's not that visible. Okay, so the shadows are not that visible now. They are lighter. So if we go now to materials, remember that we can change the materials if we want to without any problem. So let's select another material. And with the same palette we created in Photoshop, we can change and select another tone. This will help us to differentiate certain areas that had similar colors. In this case, the lips were previously 225, 93 and 168. But as I was saying, we can darken the tone to differentiate it from the poncho, for instance, so that they are not that similar. Once the scene is finished, go to Render and in Name, insert a name, and select the folder where we want to save the image. Desktop, for instance. We also need to select the size, but first the format. I've chosen PNG, and if we want a transparent background to insert it with Photoshop, then we'll need to check the Include Alpha option, then change the resolution. In this case, 2000 by 2000, and the size automatically changes. In options, we can modify the quality of the lighting as well. Well, if we exit this window and go to the lighting panel on the right, we can activate the global illumination, which will make the image look better. Okay, then go back to the render window and we see the changes we made. Then click on Render. Wait until the image is displayed. So, the image is ready and now I've opened it with Photoshop. As you can see here, I've added these adjustment layers. The one below is for color balance and the other one is for levels. In order to do it in a non-destructive way, we can apply different filters from here, which will help us to change the parameters in a non-destructive way, like opacity or hide some layers. In this case, I've applied a color balance, and here you can see the values I inserted: +8, -8, and +1. Regarding the levels, what I've done is reducing the value of dark pixels and tweak these other parameters. But basically, what I've done is changing the dark values. Lastly, as I was saying, we can go back to KeyShot and change some colors, for example this stripe in the skirt. In addition, if we want to remove the shadows that appears in these areas over here, instead of 2 panels, we can use 3 panels for the lighting. This way we'll be adding straight light focus that will light up the area and thus it will be less shady. Okay, now let's extract the image and go to Photoshop. Once here, we can introduce those changes that we consider necessary. So, this is the image we had before and this is the new one. It looks better now, right? Also, I mentioned previously, we can go to Cinema 4D and introduce any change to the character, and thus, this change will be updated in KeyShot easily. In this case, we made the head bigger, so I'm going to save this file and check the result. So, go to KeyShot, then press on File, then Import, and click on Open. After that, click on Import with Update Geometry checked. In this case, we'll need to hide the previous Frida and make visible the new one. What we could do now is get a scene or an image of this Frida so that we can add it to our works and have the same model with different dimensions. After generating the image, we are going to open it with Photoshop as we've done previously, and once here, we'll be able to modify any aspect related to coloring. Don't know if you've noticed, but in this model, the head is bigger. The eyebrows are a little bit closer and the stripe of the skirt has another color. Here you'll find the different versions we've been creating. Okay, guys, the good thing of working this way is that we have the original saved in Cinema 4D, so we can modify anything and then, in KeyShot, generate the image, which is very useful. Well, guys, hope you liked the course. I've prepared it so that once finished it, you're able to create your own characters. So guys, thank you very much and see you next time. Bye!